Agency in Motion continuing education series. Once again, this is an education series designed specifically for agents, producers, agency builders, and advisors in the financial services industry. In today's episode, and what we're going to be talking about today, is crushing your competition. And it's really not that hard to figure out, because what you just want to do is reverse engineer what's wrong with most everybody that is your competition, and then look at those areas. And then when you master those areas over, small, intermediate, and longer term time periods, you begin to create such a competitive advantage that you are crushing your competition. And no matter what they do in any 3, 6, 9 month period, you're too far out ahead of them. So one of the things that we want to look at today is what usually gets in the way of people's success. And that's lack of clarity, lack of motivation, having the wrong associations, the typical bad habits, and self-doubt. So these are like some preliminary general things that get in the way of our success. So when you look at this, how do we take a look at what we're trying to do today, which is learn how to crush our competition, and just look at these areas. And like I said, when you work on these, mastering these over, a time period, you're going to develop a competitive advantage. And that competitive advantage, if you continue on over longer periods of time, is impossible to catch. So the blueprint for success, how to crush your competition, is just focus on the typical roadblocks that everybody else has in building their business, whether it's a book of business or whether you're building agencies. Look at what everybody else is struggling with and master those categories. That usual gap between strategy and execution that everybody struggles with, the more you can tighten or lessen that gap, the more that your business is going to be meaningful in terms of growth, revenue, and income. But also, once again, going back to today's topic, crushing your competition by tightening that gap between strategy and execution. Also understanding that most people allow themselves to procrastinate and kick the can down the road because they've aligned their goals to allow them to do that. What you have to understand is, if you're going to crush your competition in this industry, what you do today, what you do this hour, has a direct and meaningful impact on your yearly results. So don't allow yourself to say, hey, I want to make this year. You got to reverse engineer that back to, what do you need to make for this particular pay period or month or whatever it might be. Don't allow yourself to fall in the typical pitfalls of kicking the can down the road on the results and not being great in the moment and understanding the value of what you have as far as the activity that you can put in your business today. Making it happen now is one of the first and most important steps in crushing your competitions, because setting those goals, just like we talked about, in the future allows you to postpone results. So it's not if it can happen, but how will it happen and what does it look like? So understand the differentiation between these two mindsets, and understand when you start going in and understanding the value of small periods of time, what you can do, and the activity that you can bring with energy and intensity starts to bring a competitive advantage into the environment. Your plans for your business have to be specific and certain. It's not a general plan. It's not a general blueprint. It's a very detailed blueprint. What are you going to do? When are you going to do it? And why are you going to do it? The more detailed you can be in terms of what you're trying to accomplish, when you're trying to accomplish, and why you're trying to accomplish that, the more likely that you will be to accomplish that, the more likely you'll be to start to gain that competitive advantage, which will eventually end up crushing your competition. And you got to focus. And really, focus comes from two main points. One of those is understanding you need to follow one course until successful. Yes, we are in the money game. We're talking and teaching people how money works. However, just because we teach and we understand that we need multiple streams of income, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you can't spread yourself too thin before you've mastered one thing. So you need to follow one course until successful, master that, and then start branching out. If you spread yourself too thin, that old saying, jack of all trades, master of nothing. You've got to concentrate and focus on one thing until you're successful at that one thing. And the other part of being focused is understanding that the things that matter and the things that you control, there's a sweet spot in there of what you should focus on. If you're focusing on the wrong things, then you're not bringing through the laws of attraction stuff that should be happening for your business. So understand what matters, what you can control, and the sweet spot of what you can focus on. If you focus on the right things continuously, good things are going to happen for your business. And then another way to crush your competition is organization. Most of the people, most of the agents that we speak with, one of their big deficiencies is organization. When you're not organized, it has a negative ripple effect on your business that goes out into many different sections and parts of your business. So technology allows the unorganized to become organized. We live in a time and a place where technology can definitely be that aid. But one thing that we can't be deficient on in our business is organization. If we're unorganized, things fall through the crack in marketing, lead generation, sales, client follow-up, all the stuff that we're supposed to be doing. We're not organized in that approach. It's not going to be a clean approach. So staying organized means that you develop habits. Remember, we're into March now. Most people have totally abandoned their resolutions from the new year. That's because they didn't develop new habits. So you have to develop the habit and the routine. And that takes, 90 to 120 days usually. Plan ahead, consistency over perfection. You have to prioritize, declutter as part of organization. You have to be able to measure your progress and experiment with stuff. If things are going to help you with your business, great. If they're not, it's definitely worth trying, because when you test things, they either work or they don't. And if they work, great, go with it. If they don't, exit, go back to the drawing board. But find ways to get more out of the day than other people, and you will start to crush your competition. And then we talked about this earlier. The execution of the plan of action is so important. So if you concentrate on mastering the things that other people are deficient in, including execution, you start to crush your competition. And the final part of execution is the consistency of that execution. So coming in and doing something, for 30, 60 days, and then stopping, coming back for 30, 60 days, that's a start and stop motion, is really like you never started at all. So the consistency and what we call the grit is that secret ingredient for the recipe for success. So if you're going to come in, day out, show up, be consistent, execute, be organized, do all the things that we're talking about today, you will over time develop strategic advantages over your competition and learn to crush your competition. And then the accountability, that's the thing that most people hate, but it's the thing that's going to give you a huge competitive advantage. Because if you're accountable to yourself and other people, you start to build a network and a team of accountability, and that has huge positive ripple effects. Accountability is just about measuring, how do we get there? How far were we away? What can we do to get closer next time? Accountability is not there to punish you. It's there to help you. And as other people shy away from accountability, you embrace it, you learn to crush your competition. And that's really about just making sure you're honest about what's going on with you and your business, valuing other people, keeping records, understanding that measurement is important, taking responsibility for what went right and what went wrong, always doing the right thing, and acting, promptly with care. So 6 steps to accountability really equal the fact that you no longer allow excuses in. When you're not accountable, it really allows you to justify your excuses. When you are, it doesn't allow you. So one of the things that you can do to crush your competition is be accountable to get rid of the excuses that normally other people in the industry, they just feed on continuously. You've got to have wow moments in your business. So a lot of your business is, just a grind. And when you're marketing, when you're creating lead generation, when you're doing the education, when you're getting all these people into the point for next action steps that eventually equal revenue and income, you have to be inspired to take increased commitment, and you have to have that resilient determination, because you have to bring energy, intensity, excitement to your business, even when you're really not feeling that great. And that all comes back to a consistent level of effort. Really, what you have to understand is that your level of effort that you tolerate for yourself is going to define your life. It's going to define your personal goals, your professional goals, how close or how far you get away from them. So what is your level of effort? Because I can tell you that training and supporting and coaching, agents throughout the years, that when the level of effort is low, obviously it bleeds into every other section of your business. And what happens is over time, you learn to accept subpar results And then over time, those subpar results are not going to be exciting enough to continue the business. So it's up to you. You have to kind of start the fire, so to speak. You have to load that motivation each and every day. And that's a huge way that you can learn to crush your competition, is learn how to show up day in, day out, be motivated. And that goes back to understanding and finding your why. Your why is going to be the motivating factor. So when we talk about being specific in your plans, being certain in your plans with what, when, and why, that's because you have to get motivated to take the action steps. And, when you look at intrinsic motivation, it can come from a variety of different ways. You have to kind of be able to self-evaluate and see what's going to motivate you and then run with it. Different types of motivations for different people. Find what's going to motivate you and run with it. And if that changes over time, be flexible enough to change that motivation. You've got to get out of the comfort zone. Remember, getting out of the comfort zone where everybody else likes to live and really just stay in allows you to break out, allows you to explore new things. It allows you to get the most out of what you're trying to do. And it really allows you to embrace the unknown. And when you get out of your comfort zone, that's where all the growth happens. And if other agents, advisors, agency builders are reluctant to get out of that, comfort zone, and you do, that's going to cause another area of separation and allow you to crush your competition. You have to, like we talked about, embrace the unknown, do something new. Remember, if you're not doing something new, if you're not willing to go out and do what's necessary to build, grow, scale your business, then other people are. This is a competition within yourself, also within the industry with other people. We're all going after the same types of personas, the same types of clients. So you have to understand, you have to get out of the comfort zone, do new things. And you have to make action plans. Those are your maps. So once again, being certain and specific in your plans, making action plans, showing yourself how you're going to get there, not just kicking the can down the road with, general goals for an annual basis. What is my goal for today? What is my goal for tomorrow? What is my goal for this week? What is my goal for this month? And am I hitting those goals? It's really a combination of two things, and that's constant activity with constant follow-up. So if people are reluctant to have the kind of massive activity on the front side and you do, guess what? Competitive advantage. If other people are unwilling to do what's necessary for the follow-up to, increase their revenue, income, and growth, and you are, guess what? Competitive advantage. So you're starting to understand, just do what the other people won't do so you can have what the other people don't have. And one of the easiest ways that you can implement some of this stuff into your business is by adopting systems. One of the systems that we use is the 12-week year. And when you look at the 12-week year, it's about doing everything that we talked about today, making each week count, connecting emotionally, developing your plan, executing week to week, measurement, understanding that drives results, being purposeful in what you do, owning your results, whether they're good or bad, making those great commitments, performing in the moment, understand the value of that moment, and seeking intentional imbalances. Really, the elements of high performance is vision, planning, process control, measurement, time use, accountability, commitment, and greatness in the moment. It's everything we talked about today, but you need to understand the 8 elements of high performance because other people are deficient in multiple ones of these 8 elements. And once again, if you can work on mastering these and then using a system like the 12-week year, you're going to gain the competitive advantage. And over time, it's too much of a competitive advantage for other people to keep up with. That allows you to crush your competition. We talked about this earlier. You've got to have a vision that'll motivate you. You got to load that motivation each and every day. And to help you stay on track, you need a powerful reason why. That's your vision. There's 2 visions, you guys, and that's a 3-year and an aspirational. Aspirational is basically how you want your life to look, how you want to live. And the 3-year describes like key objectives. So you are having longer term goals and visions, but you're also learning how to reverse engineer those back to what do I need to do today to make that happen. And really your 12-week year is leveraging the power of repetition. Remember, your brain loves repetition, whether you're doing good or bad. It's going to want to continue down that path, put it on a good path, and it's going to want to continue. So you have the ability to strengthen and develop your brain by thinking about a compelling future that actually motivates you, regularly and repeating thinking about that inspiring vision, and then emotionally connecting with your life that you actually desire. Remember, having a vision, continuously looking at it and feeling it with emotion is going to help you with the motivation. And then, goals, tactics, actions. That's all that you're breaking your systematic routine down to in 12-week years. It gives you a better picture of what you should do on a day-to-day basis. One of the biggest problems with agents is they go into their day and they really don't even know what they should be doing on a day-to-day basis. This helps you. And once again, once you have the framework, it's easier for yourself to follow. And then as you follow it, easier for your brain to get it into a habit. When you're writing your goals down, you have to ask yourself, how is your life going to be different accomplishing these goals? This will keep you motivated when times get tough. Good days, bad days, doesn't matter. You're showing up every day and you're bringing motivation. Remember, inside this system, it's good to have a balanced approach of both business and personal goals. You don't want to be lopsided. You definitely want to have strong business goals, but also there's other things that you can work on the personal side that will help you. And a good balanced approach will help both sides of your life. And then breaking down your goals. You want to write down a few actions. This isn't everything. I need to send emails. I need a social media post. I need to do this or that. It's writing down the critical few actions that you need to complete to achieve your goal. Assign due dates. Then ask yourself, what actions do I typically struggle with? And this is what we're talking about today. You identify actions that other people struggle with and you learn to master those actions, you're going to get a competitive advantage. Then how are you going to overcome your struggles? Remember, preemptively overcoming some of this stuff to make it easier as they arise. And then you have to share, what's going on. That's why the 12-week year encourages WHAM groups, which are weekly accountability meetings. And that just is a small group where you guys can get together, measure the results, measure your execution to date, leading success metrics, set intentions for the coming week, reconnect with your vision. What's going right? What's going wrong? How do I build on the strengths? How do I correct the weaknesses? How do I get to the next week's goals so I can get to my 12-week year goals? And then carve out time for strategic work. Remember, there's two things, a to-do list and a not to-do list. And quite frankly, both are equally important. You need to know what to do, but also what to avoid doing. And we talk about this so much with so many notifications and, everything flying at us, from every direction every day. You need to learn what to do and what not to do. Concentrate on actions that will be high leverage for you, depending on your goals, and then understand the common mistakes that people make in implementing systems like the 12-week year. First of all, you're not going to change your entire life at once. You can't change everything at once. So identify what's most important to you. And then common mistake number 2, if you don't have a strong enough why, you're not going to be motivated on the days that you don't feel like it to do what's necessary that you need to do to make things happen. Common mistake number 3, not tracking your actions. Remember, just doing things and not knowing what it gets or how it's measured is just throwing things against the wall. And that's not really a legitimate way to build a book of business or an agency build out plan. Common mistake number 4, focusing too much on lag measures. Remember, leading indicators like activity are much more important than lag measures. So if you concentrate on leading activities and leading measures, you're going to be much more successful. And common mistake number 5, going at it alone. You never want to do this stuff alone because it's easier to break that accountability if it's just you. If you're in a small group, obviously it's a lot harder and it takes a lot more to basically give up and quit. So that's all we've got for today's episode. Once again, Agency in Motion. This is about, operating, managing, and building agencies in the 21st century.